What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and thank you so very much for taking the time out of your busy day and joining us for a wonderful stocks live stream. Basically, charts all over the place. We're going to be talking about stocks, different various tickers, and just discussing on what in God's green earth is going on in the market between Tesla, Apple, and any other stocks that are just really climbing up today. We have CRM busting at the seams, going up, but what is it at today? Let me just take a quick look. I think it was up at like 55 bucks. It's at 50 bucks now, $50 up, but 22%. Hit a high of $277, nearly $278, peaking well through is that 3 deviation move, just absolutely just bursting out on that particular move. That was a great earnings report from them there. Thank you everyone for joining. Again, if I get a thumbs up within the chat or hit that like button to let you know that you can hear me okay. I am just using a new microphone to kind of the higher quality. It kind of comes with like a ridiculous amount of sliders on it on the software side. So yeah, I'm just trying to optimize that to the best possibility. I see Alpaca's already in there. Thank you, my friend. And same with Brian. Brian, what stock were you trading this morning that you said you wanted it kind of cheap? Alpaca's smashing the bear button here. Oh yeah, it's a lot of people are calling the top here. I don't know. We can see on what's going on. I don't like to call tops. I don't like to call bottoms. It's gonna be that's the something that I don't want to be known as, because it's gonna be, again, no one knows what's gonna happen. There's no one knows the top or bottom, either or. So just be super careful when you see a lot of those videos out there, or people claiming that they know the top. Just look at the I think it was Alpaca and I had a conversation last night about Bitcoin. Of you'll start seeing signs on when there could be a top in place, when everyone's basically taking out a second mortgage to buy Bitcoin, credit cards, and things like that. That's usually when your grandma starts asking for what Robinhood is. That's when there's a stock market bubble. All right, let's see. Everyone's joining. Fantastic. Alpaca says you can hear. Yep. So fantastic. Let's go ahead and make sure my charts are up. I was on SPY. Let's just start with SPY right off the bat. Get this out of the way. Oh, credit. Yeah, and credit card debt is not cheap. Like, that's a extremely high interest rate. Like, it's disgusting. That doesn't go away. That's a stain for sure. Alrighty then. So, looking here at SPY, of course, making another all-time high today. Be super mindful. There are some potential catalysts coming ahead. We have the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow afternoon regarding, again, the Fed's actions, the minutes, the sense of what could be happening in the market. That could drive the market up, down, left, or right. You just never know what can come out, and how the overall market takes the words that are coming out of his mouth. And if you're not really have seen it before, literally just pull up the futures market, or just SPY, and just put it on a 1-minute chart, and the volume and the amount of volatility comes, and the amount of jumping around up and down, is pretty insane. It's absolutely insane. The amount of activity you see. So with SPY, just a quick little recap. We've been riding up this nice little trend here. This trend's still intact between, again, well above that 21 EMA here, which is the yellow line that we use here, and continue to start moving higher here. And there is, again, with the top of the hour, we talked about, like, hey, I don't know when a top's going to happen. No crystal ball here. That being said, this trend is still wanting to go higher. Some people call it overextension, time for a pullback. I just don't know how people can say things like that. I know I've caught myself saying that at times, but again, no crystal ball. So that being said, we've been holding this trend line fairly well, with the 5 and 8 moving average continue going higher. Again, hitting an all-time high in the S&P 500. And of course, then we can look at the Qs, which we call the noodle sometimes, the QQQs. Again, also making an all-time high. The only thing that's kind of lagging here, the Qs aren't lagging because the Qs have broken out at a high basically since, what day was that? The end of May into June. The Qs were at its all-time highs, and SPY just basically broke it this week. And the Qs have just been ramping up, breaking through that 1618 percentile move there from the previous swing high. Next overhead target is 354, which seems insane, but that is something that could be happening without a doubt. And then the one that's kind of lagging is the RUT, or the IWM. Oh, and my computer won't type. IWM. So IWM is kind of lagging here. So this is a better place in the overall market. Again, the RUT is made of the 2,000 companies, a lot of it's bank and oil stocks, and more companies that are based here in the US that do business in the United States, and sometimes a better representation of the overall US economy. Seeing from the previous swing high to previous swing low, just coming up to that 78.6 percentile move around that 155 price target, kind of where we're at right now. Would like to see this kind to trade here somewhat higher. The trend is still pretty much great, but again, all-time high is nearly 15 points higher, $15 higher where we're currently at. And just kind of seeing this trend hold. As long as we don't see the 5 and 8 cross aggressively through the 21 and we start seeing the overall candles close below the 154, 155, that we could see some little bit of a headache there. XX says short JM what? An African marketplace. I never heard of that stock. Is that a penny stock, XX? JMAI. Oh, it's not. Wow, this is a heck of a movement here. Had a quarter, did not do very well. This looks interesting. Let me see here. How did I? Looks like I did some fib work here before. What is this coming from? Previous swing high to previous swing low. Why is it all the way over there? That's weird. That's interesting. Let's go to the daily side. This thing looks really much of that really doesn't, what do I mean call this, like a penny stock? It's just kind of a stock that's really less lost favor. Like a penny stock doesn't mean it has to trade for 2 cents. A penny stock is usually anything under like a $2 or $3. Since this has had a huge run up, again, you're saying it's a African marketplace. It definitely, I wouldn't say it's the FOMO trade because it has that middle finger that we talk about. It has the first knuckle, then the middle finger, and then the third knuckle, kind of just giving you the big FU and just saying, I'm out of here, and just kind of continue to dump down. Looking again, this overall movement can go lower. Let's look here on the daily side. That you can kind of get that middle finger vibe here as well. Looking for a potential support around $8.52, but nothing really much to add there. You can see the 5 and 8 have crossed through the 21 aggressively and still on a downward projection, with the momentum still printing red. And as soon as the volume zone oscillator goes to the negative 20 level, this really could break through that 200 EMA there. So that's all I can really give on that sense there. After earnings didn't do very well, and it looks like this wants to potentially trend lower. First level support's really going to be coming around the 200 EMA there, my friend. Brian, Netflix. Let's look at some Netflix. I always forget about Netflix because I'm just so much into Disney. Holy moly guacamole. Is this the one you got mad about, Brian? Holy moly. Whew. Let's see. That is wowzers, man. What happened there? It just looks like it's an overall rotation. Netflix shares trying to fang. It's just like a fang rotation today. It's just so many people. I believe a lot of people are saying it's like on the sideline, on like, oh my gosh, like people are just waiting, sitting on their hands, waiting for that crash. But now everyone's just deciding to throw in money in the market. You always get mixed signals. You don't know what people are saying, so it's just sometimes best just to disconnect from those individuals and just that overall talking points and the folks that the talking heads, the news cycle. I want cheap option. I want yeah, lots of text definitely going up. Like I saw a lot of my like Facebook. I saw PayPal spot went up. Of course, Tesla has been going up like crazy. AMD's kind of been doing well. TSM did very well. Yeah, it's been definitely a rotation without a doubt. Yeah, NIO, that's another one we can talk about. But with Netflix here from the previous swing high to the previous swing low, it really wasn't participating in the overall market. And now we're seeing that really life kind of come back into it. This really didn't get on my radar. This is a pretty proper base here for a company that at this size, around the 490 level. The reason it didn't really come on my radar because there was no squeeze really indication. That's usually what I initially look for when I do my scans, when I flip through my charts. That is pretty insane here without a super light. That's about 50 bucks as well, nearly 10, almost 11%. Yikers. Really cracking through that 1618. Again, that target around $533.80. If that can stay above that, we can build maybe a potential base there and maybe get that next run higher to new potential highs. But that, yeah, if you're not in it right now, I'm sorry, you kind of missed the train. I think you'd probably know that, Brian. Alpaca says PLNFH. Does it give me the alphabet there? What is that? PLNHF. Oh, this is the planet. Okay. I see these. I've seen like 4 or 5 YouTube videos about this. This is the what do they call it? The weed shop in Las Vegas or something, where they are trying to become like the gold standard of like being able to have a great customer experience and just have a fantastic resource and things like that. That being said, I like we talked about it previously on the Discord, Alpaca. That is the I just don't know too much about the marijuana business, so I can't really say too much. Again, due to the current restrictions that I have via my job, I can't actually even trade this actually. So I can't put in money into this. Like, so I can look at it, but I can't touch it. Would I touch it? I don't know. Like, I feel like it could be some FOMO behind this, honestly, because I am seeing it kind of run around the YouTube circle and then, of course, on some other forums and posts. But this one definitely has some potential. I know it has been being acquired and it's just trying to break out potentially to new heights in the sense of, I think where did I read that? I read all as much as I can in the sense of like trying to figure out they're trying to raise money potentially, I think I read, and they're trying to open up closer, another one in California, I believe. But this one, yeah, to the downside, you're really looking for support around 320. That's a good point there. Alpaca or the 21 EMA. But again, you have the earnings coming out, so that might be a buying opportunity if it does dip down or dip lower. Just be super mindful of that on potentially seeing that kind of come down for a potential buying opportunity. It's been really choppy here just before this whole potential run up here. But yeah, I can't physically trade in. Yeah, NIO Roku went to the moon. Did Roku go to the moon? I didn't see. I had an order in. Okay, it did. Yikers. Yeah, Roku did go to the moon. Wasn't able to get in full size on that. What's my... I posted that as one of my trade ideas. What day's earnings? Oh shoot, I just put it away. What was the stock P? Earnings is on Thinkorswim. It's saying after the market on the 31st. So what's that, Monday? Yeah, Monday. Always be mindful of earnings. Earnings could be a pretty large driver. NIO is another one I wanted to talk about. This is the one that kind of got away from me as well. We actually bought in a couple hundred shares here of stock around this limit. Then we saw this huge run up, sold out of it, majority of around 15 bucks, due to the fact of just being a nice little trade idea. But then didn't see this move. Like this is disgusting, honestly. This is hard to look at because we kind of held it through here, waiting for the 5 and 8 to kind of get close to the 21, and then boom, and really go higher. And really get, again, it's coming to that 1618 around the $20 potential limit. Let's see. That's okay. My second, having a little bit of thing here. Why is this not working here? 1 second, folks. All right, let's see here. The chat, I'm gonna make sure the chat wasn't updating. Okay, let's see here. Can you look at Rocket? Yeah, we can look at Rocket. Of course, this one kind of really just came up to that 1272 extension and then kind of petering off here with Rocket companies. Again, we had that potential, looking at potential building a base here. Saw that kind of bottom out, but it didn't bottom out and build a base as long as we wanted, and then it really just took off without us and just went flying. And this one just couldn't get in a position. Potentially looking for some support around that 26 down all the way to potentially even 23.90. Again, this is a newer IPO with earnings on the horizon coming out. What day is this? The first week of September the 2nd, so be mindful that we could see some potential movement on its very first earnings report, so it's going to be a little bit risque to be playing that one. Jesse Johnson, can I get your advisor's opinion, please? What do you think about doing an iron fly, selling the 30 strike call and put, and buying the 50 cents? So yeah, AT&T, which is the ticker symbol T, if I'm wrong, all right. It's kind of been trading in this really tight range. I normally don't trade iron flies like that. I would basically, it's like a premium collection. You're just waiting. It's almost like an iron condor where you're kind of just letting something to be in a certain range and just really collecting that theta decay within that, around that strike price. To be quite honest, I don't trade that option or that option strategy very well. I haven't. I would do most likely more just doing an iron condor. I know, or just would just be selling a modified iron condor and just maybe selling the around the 200 and then potentially just selling around these lows around 28. I would have to look at the options chain to kind of see what I can get the trying to suck out some premium, because the IV is kind of low. That's the only thing, and that doesn't that could mean there's not a lot of premium in that. And again, it's only a $30 stock as well. Kelly D, thank you for joining, my friend. He says, "What up, folks? What are your thoughts on MRVL?" Marvell Tech. Okay. Never seen this before. Probably have, but I just don't recall it. Looks like it has earnings. Okay, does it have earnings today? Aftermarket on the 27th, so tomorrow. Looks kind of choppy here. Really just not the most interesting activity. I don't know honestly what the company does, but let's look at a fib for you there, my friend. So swing high to swing low. That 50% retracement comes in around at $36 here, basically. Would like to see that above that. We are seeing a little bit, again, that 5 and 8 trying to cross to the 21, if earnings wasn't on the horizon, this would be a nice little potential entry point around the $35 to $36, for a potential kick higher to around that $37 to $38, where that 78.6 percentile move comes in. But with earnings being the kicker here and the very large question mark, I really can't touch it with a 10-foot pole due to the fact of that earnings report is really just going to throw me a curveball. Brian says, what do you think about SQ, FDX, and Fastly? SQ, I think we just purchased some SQ, yeah. So Square, this is one of the nice winners this year without a doubt. Here was with that earnings. If you don't remember, someone leaked the earnings the day before, and we were going to get out of the calls previously to the earnings report, and it ran up tremendously, and those calls really just did very well. Luckily, again, with earnings, it's very difficult because, again, you're really that theta and that overall IV crush really comes in and really can take your positions pretty crazy in either direction. Now seeing here with that overall movement, seeing that kind of popping up higher, kind of coming back down, holding that around the 140 range, building a very small base here, and just kind of start curling up higher, and still trading between that 5 and 8 moving average. So that's pretty substantial amount of movement. And again, that's a little bit more on the aggressive side. We can see a base building here, basically support. Level 1 support's really going to be coming down around 147 to around 145 for level 1 support. If it wants to come down lower, it could be looking to around the 137 to around 133 for support to the downside. That's level 2. I mean, after basically the 145 to 147 cannot hold. To the upside target, we're really looking for 170. That could easily come again due to the amount of popularity that Square and then the overall fintech companies have been getting. I think that's within its horizons to be able to reach that overall marker there. Then Fastly, you said, I think. Fastly was a company that really got hit hard over earnings, came down, kind of came into the 50-day, kind of got nibbled up. We actually put a trade alert or trade idea out for the members / YouTube membership group, and that was a nice little trade up here, talking about potentially hitting that $90, potentially building a base here, and then seeing that $95 to $100 strikes come through there. So that's a great little trade here still. We're seeing that 5 and 8 cross to the 21 to the upside, potentially next overhead resistance around $95. Is it tomorrow morning or is it in the afternoon? I always forget. Johnson, you're welcome. Brem, what's up, man? Mike, how do you feel about Powell will make the market tomorrow? That's a coin flip. That's I don't want to hold anything really short term. I don't want to be trading weekly options this week because they can really just change and flip the overall sentiment on those. ST Child 3 ZM Teladoc Piton, please. Thanks in advance. All right, let's take a looky-loo. Let's see. You say ZM. ZM has been a clear winner. That's the Zoom communication. Really looking really strong here. They kind of did a head fake for us. Basically down here, we were looking for support basically to hold around the 147. It didn't. Luckily, it kind of came back down, showing support around the 55 EMA, then making a pretty straight line as a 45-degree angle here to the upside here. Hitting some overhaul resistance around the 290 level, potentially looking for the next price target around 307. Be very mindful of, hey, we have earnings reports coming out on Monday. So we have basically Thursday, Friday, and then Monday it is before or after the market. It's after the market. So we basically have three days of trading left, and then could this easily hit the 307? I think if the overall market continues going higher, NASDAQ's printing up nearly 2% today, I think this could easily hit the 307 potentially pre-earnings. Again, don't want to be playing that on my risk assessment due to the fact of, hey, you know what, guys, we got the Fed, big Fed honcho guy talking tomorrow, and that could be really persuading the market in different directions. And I don't really like to hold many very short-term positions due to the fact of that. Yeah, ZM seems very solid long-term, I believe. That being said, look at here on the weekly side. Basically, each time it kind of came down to the EMA on the weekly side was basically a buying opportunity. But how long will that last? I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't have a overall list there. What else did you say? Teladoc, TDoc. So TDoc's merging with a company, correct? So TDoc, that I think that announcement came back down. We had that 618 Fibonacci retracement to the 182, $182, kind of held, printing higher. Now kind of holding around the 21 EMA, potentially just consolidating, base building here. So that's actually a nice little sign here. So we can update here. And I think Mike says, how do you draw your fibs? So drawing your fibs within Thinkorswim is you just literally right click, hit add a drawing, and you just go down to the Fibonacci retracements. And then you just click from the high spot to the low spot on the chart, and bada bing, bada bang. If you want to edit it, you just you can right click on it and edit the properties, and you can kind of go in here and add other Fibonacci retracements. You can change the colors, the style, the width, and all that fun stuff there. Hopefully that was helpful. Back to Teladoc, you kind of see that from the swing high to swing low, we had a bounce coming up here, kind of failing here at the 2225 or $225, they call it on the East Coast. Coming back down to the 21 EMA, I actually kind of like this pattern, potentially building a strong base here for another push higher to try to test that $225, potentially to start reaching to that 237 price there. And then Peloton. I'm seeing that Peloton van in our neighborhood so much now. Like, it just seems like everyone else is just getting one order and getting their getting their bike riding skills on, even though the weather is absolutely beautiful outside. But whatever. With Peloton, this one looks interesting as well. This one from the previous swing high to previous swing low, it held the 34 EMA, basically with a very aggressive stock like this or an early IPO looking between that 21 and 34 EMA for a potential buying opportunity, and seeing that potential run up to, again, failing here multiple times around the $69 range or $70 range. Very tight range here, just not being able to get above it. With earnings on the horizon, again, it's the 10th of September. So it's kind of a ways out. I wouldn't say an earnings run still in play yet. Usually an earning runs has to be like a week, maybe 2 weeks at most. But that would be has to really aggressively pick up there. So with that movement, we're still not seeing the 588 cross through the 21 aggressively to see that potentially even go higher. Really looking for support basically around the 65 level, potentially overhead resistance around the $69 to $70. Potentially, if we can get above that limit, we're looking to 73 to 76 from there, my friend. Get some water. Alpaca says Wally Mark. Yeah, we can look at Wally Mark. Wally Mark is one of one that I'm actually added to today. Are you trying to sell it at one? Are you trying to sell it to the upside, the like overall price target? So with Wally Mark, this one has been kind of not the world's greatest looking chart here, to be quite honest with you guys. Just really a weird, strange movement, left, right, up, down, triangles, circles, whatever. You can really see the pattern here. The 200 EMA has been really strong line of support. So we can kind of see here the potential movement of, again, that's pretty far away down. We do have a pretty decent squeeze setting up here, so that could be a potential movement higher. We also have the RSI. The only thing that's kind of failing here is the volume zone oscillator, which we kind of start to need to see to start breaking up to the positive side. That's the only thing that's kind of scaring me here. And also, we don't want that 5 and 8 moving averages to cross aggressively through the 21. Excuse me. And if we do see that movement, we could be easily coming down to basically let me do a quick fib here to kind of give you a better understanding what we could see. So we do this. Oh, please click. There we go. There we go. Potentially see the next level of support around 127. Then you have the 125, and then you have the 121 to the downside. To the upside, which I like to be more of a bull, we can bounce here, hold, and potentially build a base here with the overall great news of things. And we can kind of do from the previous swing low to the previous swing high. Oh, please click. There we go. You kind of see that overhead resistance around 133 there, Alpaca. That's kind of been hitting that wall multiple times. We broke through it with earnings, but then came right back down. Really looking for that 130 hold and looking to try to break above that 133 to that 137, 138 price target that you initially talked about for Wally mark. But again, be mindful of the 27, 25, and 121 to the downside for support levels. Ryan, what's up, my man? No, autistic. Thank you. Love you. Nicola puts on Nicola. This one's been a hell of a rider for sure. That has been a pretty crazy run with Nicola. Even though you just, I actually subscribe to their YouTube channel and just kind of watch the videos they put out just to kind of educate myself and see the overall selling pitches and the 3D renders and the people they interview and they talk to and things like that, just to kind of see what the 411 over there on that side of the woods is. With this one, we shorted it on. We actually did short it into the earnings, made a little bit quick buck, but then I wanted to go lower. But then so many people came in after earnings and was buying it up. They just were like, it was like Cookie Monster eating cookies. It just kept on getting sucked into a black hole of just raging bulls, and it just really popped higher, really getting out for a very small percentage gainer, and then now just kind of just trading sideways, not really being able to get anywhere. And now the 5 and 8 have crossed through the 21 again and potentially looking to trade lower. That being said, we can kind of draw some very basic fibs here from the swing high to the swing low, which doesn't really, again, there's nothing really too much on the perspective of that. What we can do is look for some potential projections to the downside here. Let me go here to here. So the first projected overall look at would be around the 3211 marker for if this can continue going lower, this would be kind of a magnet to the downside. Since we just about 3 days ago has switched to the parabolic SAR to being on top of the ticks, we could see that trend going lower to around that $32.11 range, coming down even down to the 200 EMA, so around 28. So that'd be a range for potential level 1 of support. That kind of comes in as well as the low that was currently in the stock price. So just be mindful of that. If it really wants to go lower, we're going to be looking for around 22 and then all the way down to 15 potentially. Alpaca saying down to 0. That's we can definitely go down all the way, which is funny because now since I drill those fibs on there, it does negative numbers. So the negative of that negative 10 here, so that's not, of course, not possible, but yeah, that can be very interesting price targets without a doubt for the old Nicola. What's up, my friend? SRNE bought yesterday 100 shares at 8, sold a call against it this morning. Strike price at 12. On instant thoughts on the play. So you're doing a spread on that. SRNE, let's take a look. I think it's kind of had some pretty insane movement Looking for this $8.67 to kind of come into play. Looking for, what is it called, a base building, but again, these are the vaccines, the overall pharmaceutical companies, therapeutical companies, whatever you want to call it, and they literally just trade on the insy teeny bitty witty bits of news, and they can just drive up, down, left, right. And I'm usually not a big fan of them, but a lot of people do request them and to look at. That being said, this one's a tough one without a doubt. I know you're long on SRNE. It looks like if it can hold that previous low, which we talked about here, around $7.11, that's basically a 6 and 1/8. That's a kind of a significant move. We can kind of look here on the weekly side. So if you're really long here, you can really see that very well, my friend, on the weekly side here. It really came down to that 21 EMA and just bounced off it. So it doesn't look exactly to the marker because again, it's on the weekly chart. It's a super long trended chart here, but that 711 is a pretty key level to the downside. Really looking to kind of have it kind of start trading sideways, potentially another base building around $8.73, aka the 78.6 percentile move. Being mindful that 5 and 8 moving averages on the weekly side. Let's just scroll back over to the daily side. We already have the 5 and 8 cross through the 21. Never the world's greatest sign, but as long as we can start potentially build that base around that $8.67 there, that could be a nice potential move up back to that $10.65. So if you're long it, like again, if you sold, what did you sell? The $12, that $12 one on the, you said the 18th of September. So $12 and 50 cents, just $12. So it basically puts it up here. Can it hit it by that point? We can kind of see what the market makers are saying. You said September, so 23 days away. They're saying plus or minus $4. So $4 where we're looking at that could be you're kind of selling the one deviation move, which is a good strategy. But just be mindful of like if that does get up there, that collateral of those 100 shares will go away. Just be mindful of that. Ryan, yes, Rocket. We just kind of covered Rocket earlier, but we can look at it again with Rocket, of course. Had that huge move. We wanted this base building to last a little bit longer down here around the like $20 to $18 range, but it just took off like a rocket, no pun intended. We can see that really strong move higher, hitting that wall at that 1272 extension, aka the $29, not really being able to close above it, kind of coming back down, potentially just trading sideways around the 26, even down to 25 potentially, to potentially build that wall up. We could have an earnings run into play. If that earnings run does come into play, that's on the 2nd of September, we can see that trading sideways and potentially try to run up to that $32 price target there, Ryan. JP Morgan. Yes, we can look at JP Morgan. The old banks. The old banks. So with the wonderful banks here, kind of been really much just trading in a range here. Looking between that 5 with that 50 percentile move from the previous swing high to previous swing low, that 50% retracement coming in at 109. Basically, the 200 EMA is a very strong overhead sign of resistance. We'll see on how that plays out with that movement. We're just seeing again that $100, $99 being kind of a potential base building. Just potentially see if that can move higher or not. This is going to be a very difficult one to kind of see because again, it's looking like it's trying to build a strong fundamental bottom here, aka around that $98 to $100. If you have a little bit of a longer term horizon on it, like looking here on the weekly side, that would be a potential starter position for me. Honestly, I'm not too big fond of the banks, and I already kind of have a position already in Bank of America as a longer term position. But JP Morgan is also sounds like a fairly solid bank, but looking for that movement just to kind of wait for how the pandemic comes out, and how again the Fed chief kind of goes tomorrow, says things. With the overall market can go higher or lower. This one just kind of wants to just sit here and wait for a potential reaction to something. Again, downside support coming around 92. If it really just starts dropping, basically 95 to 92 for support. To the upside, we're really looking to try to break above that 104 level. That's going to be a pretty significant line in the sand. We've kind of popped up through the 200 EMA, failed back down, popped up through it, kind of failed back down. If we get enough momentum and strength to break through that, that'll be a great move to that 105 to the 109 target there. Ollie's discount. Yeah. I know that one, Kelly. I've only been to one of these, and I always liked it. I'm a sucker for a discount. That's why I love Costco. Ollie, of course, this thing looks fantastic, dude. Holy moly, this looks great. They have earnings after the market tomorrow. Man, this is a great looking chart, Kelly. I like this. Again, just as well, this has earnings. It's going to be very difficult for me to trade. What do the options look like in this sucker? The options pretty bad. Are they liquid? Do they even have options? I'm sure they have it, but it's going to be... Ooh, they are so wide. They're like 40, 50 cents wide. Why you got to do this to me, Kelly D? Let's see here. I'm just gonna see. I can pull this over here. So I use a Tastyworks to do some of my short-term options trading, and what I mean by look how wide these options are. So even the ones at the money, they're 30 cents. These are 60 cents wide, 30 cents. So between the ask and the bid, and there's just not much of open interest. There's a pretty significant amount on this month, but there is a lot of open interest at that 120 call. A lot of volume coming in actually into that today. Potentially, again, could be selling those. Who knows? Kind of want to look at that on the trade tab here to see what the Hello Kitty's going on over there. So we're looking for the September, a lot of call buying around that, again, that 120, September 18th here. A lot of it, a lot of buying. Interesting. And a lot of it was right in the morning too. I can't break my rules and buy that that overall market there. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think on that one. That's a good looking stock though, my friend. PSN, UVX to the moon, VIX 2, LOL. Good luck with that, my friend. Yeah, XX, we can look at the VIX. Again, the VIX is all about, we're looking at the VIX futures. You don't know when this is going to take off. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. No one in chat has a crystal ball. No one on Wall Street has a crystal ball. Be mindful of that. This is all just the overall reactions and emotions. Again, will we have a potential spike tomorrow? I don't know. I have no idea. Will I be ready for it? Sure. Am I going to freak out about it? No. I don't really want to be just chasing things. And of course, I don't like to chase the bottom, and I don't think anyone really wants to buy insurance a lot of the times. And that's basically how I feel about the VIX. Sometimes it is somewhat credible in the sense of, hey, I want to buy protections just because I think there's a top coming in place. You don't know when there's a top. I don't know when there's a top. Again, I don't have that future crystal ball in my horizon. There are people who trade this, and again, I know two folks who literally just trade end of the month strategies. Again, towards the end of the month, we could see some potential volatility pick up. We are seeing the 5 and 8 kind of potentially cross through the 21, but again, that can just be died off with if JPL comes out tomorrow saying, hey, I got my hand on the printer. Anything that anyone needs money, just give me a holler, and I'll Venmo you the money. That's basically, if he says that, the VIX will just drop. And of course, with all that vaccine news coming out as well, it could be a potential honestly put a nail in the coffin for the VIX. Will the VIX pop up on elections? I think 100% yes. I'm actually working on a video to kind of go back in time and look at the S&P 500 and the futures the night of the elections, and just literally put a timestamp of what happened, and really just play the overall scenario out. So be mindful of like how crazy those markets moved and how fast. There's like literally billions of dollars were made overnight on that single election night. It was crazy. Cotton, can we look at UPS? Yeah, look at UPS. That was actually one that that's the one I wanted to look at this week. Did it already have earnings? Was it UP? Oh, I put /UPS. Okay, so this is, okay, this already had earnings. Is it the one FedEx is the one that's coming out soon? So with this one, we're seeing UPS kind of come up here, potentially build a base here around the 158 to around the 160 level. So 160 to 158, potential building a base, consolidating. This could come down to potentially, this could be just waiting for these longer term, the 21, 34, 50-ish day moving averages to kind of catch up for next leg higher. The next leg higher could be significantly higher to around 195. So there's no earnings or anything on the horizon. This thing is just kind of just sitting pretty and just kind of chilling out here to kind of see what potentially could happen next. With this movement, this could be, I wouldn't want to just straight up buy it up here. I would probably want to wait to kind of see a potential further pullback to around the 21 EMA and just kind of going from there. Be mindful again. This thing has had a substantial move since earnings and has gapped up quite a bit. What rule are you breaking on Ollie? It's because it has earnings tomorrow. I can't really buy into something with earnings. And another rule was the stock wasn't that liquid. Liquid meaning there wasn't a lot of trading going on, in the spreads between the ask and the bid were fairly large for options. So you're talking about, for slippage, we're talking anywhere from 40 to 50 cents in some of those option strikes. And that usually is a huge effect when you're trying to get out of a trade, and especially if it's going up really fast, you want to have that liquidity so you can get out of the price that you want, instead of just playing guess who kind of method and just kind of putting in stock or some targets that are not going to get filled, and you really have to play into that. Because I learned a long time ago that you want to have those pretty tight liquidity, because if you want to get out, you want to get out now. You don't want to be in a night or ordinary line, because usually if something drops or goes up higher, it's not just a nice ordinary line and everyone just tries to get in and out and they're polite about it. It's just literally just everyone just runs to the door. It's just like if you watch those Black Friday videos for people trying to get those TVs, it's not just everyone just like, all right, everyone just in the nice ordinary line and they get their coupon to pick up their TV. No, it's everyone just runs to the shiny object and just knock people out, pull weapons, and whatever reasons. It's just human emotions, right? Ryan, Jim Cramer has a crystal ball. That's funny. I'm sure he does. Planet Fitness XXX is asking. Sure, we can take a looky-loo. Is it PLNT you said? Since I'm not a gym person, honestly, probably should. But from the previous swing high to previous swing low, we're seeing some pretty interesting resistance kind of coming in here initially to that, never really breaking above that $75 limit. Of course, with the pandemic and the overall virus of everything, hasn't been performing very well. We're seeing a potential base building here around the $56 range. By the $56 range, I mean it's like plus or minus a buck or two, around the 50 percentile move from the swing low to swing high. So that's the previous high that we had at the beginning of the year, and then the low of this year, and that basically gives us around the $56 price target where that 50% move is in place. That looks pretty interesting. You really would potentially want to go long on this if you're thinking that vaccines out and Planet Fitness is going to be able to get folks more into the. I don't even know what their policy is on gyms, to be quite honest. That's how out of the loop I am on the gym world. Looking at the chart, we're looking for some potential overhead resistance around $62 to $64. To the downside, we're looking for support basically around 53 down to around the 48. That's pretty wide, but my first level of support will be coming in right where those parabolic SAR dots are, and then the next level will be around the 48, which was the previous low we kind of hit there and there. Doesn't mean it has to come down exactly to the 48.6 percentile level. If it comes down to $50 or $49.50, that's pretty close enough. So yeah. It looks super interesting there. But it's going to be difficult for me to kind of trade this, potentially looking for what are the options on this one. Let me look. Let me swing over make sure I don't have, I'm just doing a quick, holy moly, spots up 10 bucks. Nice. That's a nice trade today. eBay made a hell of a comeback too today. Holy moly. That was another trade we put on for the YouTube membership group. Let's see here. The trade ideas tab. You said PLNT. Let me swing over these suckers. Interesting. There's a lot more open interest, but looks like a lot of selling here at these larger time frames here. Again, the slippage is not that bad. It's closer in the money. It's still 35, 40 cents wide. But we are seeing a little bit more increased in volume, and then of course open interest, and we're talking the hundreds and not the single or double digits. So that's always somewhat of a fairly good sign there. Let's see if we just sell this and then buy that. You're looking for 68. So what we're looking at here, we could potentially, if it holds the 55, again, what the 55 was we're looking at was basically this level here, where the 21 basically kind of comes into. If it holds that 55 or potentially within 23 days, we can get $68. We're not going to get all of that, but we can get about 50 bucks out of it, putting out about 182 of buying power affected. We can just increase that. Let me just maybe move it. I'm not going to be super bullish on this. I might want to take I don't know. I want to have to think about that one as well. I don't know too much about it. I have to look into it a little bit longer, maybe get a little bit longer term options going in there for Mr. Planet Fitness. What are my overall thoughts on what Mr. J. Powell is going to say tomorrow? I think he's just going to basically say the same exact words. We're here to help backstop the economy. We're going to allow liquidity to come into the market and give the amount of representation to all the companies that need that liquidity, blah, 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 and money, and stocks go up. No, I'm joking. I don't know. We'll see how that does. We'll see how that plays out. I think what we should do is a live stream on that one as well to kind of see how that market moves and how crazy that market can move, especially with the Fed chief speaking. Alpaca says FL. Is that Foot Locker? Come on now. So with Foot Locker, okay, kind of I wouldn't say the comeback story, but again, this is like the mall-based kind of stuff. I don't buy a lot of shoes as well. Don't wear a lot of fancy clothes. So with the 200 EMA kind of come into play, kind of failed here once. This is even before the pandemic of last year. Came back to the 200 EMA, failed here. Looking basically for some resistance around the $32. Really seeing again that trading range that we talked about a lot of the times. We can kind of put the invisible box on this guy, basically looking for kind of just trading in this range here. With earnings, it looks like it did fairly well. It kind of did some little loop-de-loos here. Looking for potential, if it wants to break out, it needs to really get above 31 to 31.30. To the downside support, really kind of coming in around 27.26 to the downside support. With Foot Locker, just a nice little, looks steady Eddie again. It looks like it wants to kind of potentially move. Let's look on the weekly side. Yeah, the weekly side is always already beaten up to the downside, even on the weekly side, even before all this pandemic stuff. So it's not usually the best look. Potentially looking for some consolidation here around the 21, and it has not really on the weekly side has not really been above the 21 for literally since the mid of 19 of last year. So last year it's been below the 21 EMA on the weekly side, so just be very careful on that as well. Tesla is mooning end of day, is it? What is it at? Holy moly. My share prices are very happy. So my overall target for Tesla to the upside, the next target is basically around $2,500. Can it happen tomorrow? God only knows, right? Zeus only knows. The trading gods only know. So I have no idea what could happen. That's the next overall target. Again, that FOMO is so real in that stock. I'm sure Apple is pretty much ripping as well to the end of the day. Not as much, okay. But Apple's next price target for me is around the 540 range. Tesla will crash 1 week after the split. What do you mean by crash? Down 5, 10, 20, 30%? That's up to you if you want to take profits. I don't know what your calls or your options are, what your overall strategy was. I'm very long term in that stock, so it's going to be very difficult. I just sell monthly puts in that, honestly, around around that. So I'm very bullish in it. That's your call, my friend, if you want to sell that. Just be very careful if again, if you when you enter a trade, you need to kind of make this is what happens. This is where I'm going to take my money off the table. If it's going to be good, bad, or ugly. If it hits an arbitrary number that you put in your head, you have to kind of stick to it. If you start turning a trade into a long-term trade, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. Because then you start beating yourself up. You're like, oh, I missed up on that $500 in profit or whatever. That can really just kind of spin you in your head and really just mess with your abdubla oblongata. And then you won't be trading right for a while, and that will in turn make your next 5 or 6 trades revenge trades, and then you're just you hate the market and you're cursing at your screen and you're smashing your keyboard and you're damning the gods, the trading gods, and it's just never a good look, right? You want to be calm, cool, and collect, and just ride the waves, what the stock market gods give you. Hopefully that makes sense. That was a kind of a long-winded answer there, without a doubt. I want to see. TSM was a nice move today. It's kind of looking for potential resistance here on 82.50. Yeah. Alex, what's up, Alex? Thanks for joining, my friend. Says, I'm planning on buying the dip when Apple splits. What are your thoughts on the split? My overall thoughts on banana splits. I love banana splits. I actually haven't had one for quite some time. But on Apple, we can kind of looky-loo on that one for you. So with Apple, again, once that split happens, basically that comes out the end of the trading day on Friday, and then come in Monday, everything normally is going to be, again, the value of the company is not going up or down. The value of the company is staying the same, and nothing else is changing. The only thing is changing, you're just going to have more overall shares of the company, and the stock prices is going to be lowered. So I just want people to be quite understand that, because we kind of get the little mixy-upsies here on people just not overall like issues from there, right? But if Apple wants to come down a little bit, we're potentially first level support really for Apple. If you're on the shorter dated side, my friend, I don't know how long term your horizons are there, Alex. We're really looking for around 486. Again, we're gonna have to readjust those once that split happens. Again, Alex, I don't know when a dump could happen, and I'm not sure what you mean by a dump. But if the overall market wants to come down a little bit, and we see issues arise or whatever, and Apple wants to come down some, the first level of support to the downside in the short term is going to be around 486. After that, we're really looking for around, oh, there's the close of the bell. I'm going to check something here. Let me see. I don't think I got filled on some things. Didn't get Phil. Oh, I did get filled on eBay. What? All right. Always surprised when you get filled by something. Yeah, all right. So with Apple, again, looking for Apple to the upside, the target in the short term is around $540, okay? That doesn't mean that's going to happen anytime soon or the next 2 weeks. Again, once the stock price get readjusted, do I see an influx of volume coming in? Maybe, I don't know. It could be a going in or out. It could, I don't know. I can't tell the future. But I can tell you by using the Fibonacci retracements and the overall probability, if we hit that target, we could be seeing some overhead resistance. To the downside, that same thing could happen to around the $470 limit, and all the way down between the 21 and 34. Those are also strategical numbers that people kind of fall into. Yeah, again, like Apple is just Apple's the largest company in the world, Alex. Like I wish I had more shares of it and just had more of a bigger position in it, but I just can't. It's just been running up so much. It hasn't given me the opportunity to buy in. Like I have to follow my rules and be patient and kind of sit on my hands. Let's see here, and that. Yeah, very yeah, it's always hard to like be the guy or the gal waiting for the dip and just being patient, but that's in the name of the game of like just waiting and seeing what happens, and really just having your rules and just living by those rules. What do you mean, if any thoughts on how it affects the options chain and liquidity? So basically, when you look for an options chain, I'll show you the difference. So if you pull over like Apple, their options chains activity is absolutely insane. Oops. You're seeing their spreads, well, it's the market's close, is pretty tight. And again, the volume is in the thousands on their strike prices. So be very mindful of that movement. But then if you look at, I don't know, let me pull up. Let me try to pull something here real fast. Something like a smaller stock that doesn't trade a lot. Son of a gun. What was the one we just looked at? Planet Fitness was one, right? Or Ollie was the example. So yeah, there was an open interest of 1,000, and the volume was increased on this September because they had earnings coming out with that movement. But we're still seeing those really tight spreads, and the overall open interest is so low compared to Apple. We're talking 7,000 open interest contracts on those prices. So even on the put side, look, like this particular call or put right here only had a volume of 38 today, and there's only 313 other people that are holding or having open interest contracts at that strike price. So you're really just if you want to get out of that contract, you're really just kind of competing with a very small market. And again, those spreads are fairly wide. Again, the market's closed, but I think these were at least 40, 50 cents wide, and 40, 50 cents wide that's $50. Like, that's pretty substantial. My question is, do you think that the stock splits will increase options volume within Apple and Tesla? Yes, 100%. I think you're going to have a lot more Robinhood and Wall Street bets and much newer investors just jumping in to because again, the prices are going to be cheaper, but that's the it's that the disconnect. It's yes, the price is cheaper. I understand that Tesla was $420. Let's just do this real fast. I'll show you. So Tesla, if it just say it closes on Friday at the 2100, okay, it closes at 2100. They do a 5-to-1 split. Guess what the stock price is? It's going to be 420. Tesla was 420. Where I can just do here was 420, basically 419 here. So it was 420 on 320. So it was basically on March 20th, it was $420. That doesn't mean when it does a split that this chart will still look the same. This will still be allocated to the 5-to-1 split, and that ratio will break it down. Looking for that movement, this was going to be a 5-to-1 split at whatever it was at 420. It's going to be like a $75 or $80 stock. But that being said, this is all going to come back down to those smaller numbers. Do those smaller numbers going to be increasing on volume? I think so, just to the fact of it's going to be cheaper. Like, instead of just saying, I would like to buy one share of Amazon, and you're like, let me open up my app and let me just buy some Amazon and just have a great old time. Holy moly, it's $3,500. I can't buy one stock of Amazon. But then you're like, okay, let me go look at my good old friend Papa Eli and maybe see what his Tesla stock is, and then boom, and then you see, it looks like it's reasonable. It's a couple $100. So the only reason that the splits really happen is to keep the smaller retail investors engaged, honestly, because when you start trading stocks like Amazon, the $1,000 stock companies, the retail investors can't compete. And then what happens really is the retail investors go into the options market in these and buy spreads and really just really capitalize on that market. Hopefully that made sense. The Alpaca 420. I could still trade Tesla, yes, even though it's at the meme of 420. I want to look like CRM closed up $56 today. Yikes. Roku had a nice move. I think I posted that, didn't I? Your channel. I think I did to the Salesforce, WMT. We did talk about Roku, yeah. Posted it this morning. Roku. That thing just really took off without a doubt. Damn. You're welcome, my friend. Bike breath by Tesla 2 weeks after the split. Yeah, we'll see how overall Tesla comes down from that, or if it does come down, just be mindful that, again, I think a lot of people are still projecting and kind of waiting for how Battery Day plays out and how that could potentially move the stock price up higher. And again, I don't think many people actually look at PE ratios anymore and the skew of that. So it kind of just gives it a little bit of an infinity and beyond symbol on it, and looking for the where the moon's going to be coming closer to the moon's going to be coming closer to the ground for some people's look at. I kind of wanted to make a video too about doing the very basics of Wall Street bets analysis. I think actually I've seen a couple videos already done by it, and I thought they did a very good job, so couldn't really add too much to it. Just super interesting plays. Let's see here a couple things. One other one that I've seen kind of come down the hole is the Yeti company. The Yeti is the coolers, the bags, the cool thermoses, and all that kind of stuff. You gotta pay $60 for a thermos or whatever, and whatever. This, of course, this move has already just been really just. This move has been in place since it's broken above the 200 EMA, and now people are just kind of getting on the bandwagon here. You're seeing a little bit of increased volume around earnings. Earnings wasn't that great, came back down to the 21 EMA, and now trading sideways for a little bit, still holding that 5 and 8, but staying above the 21 EMA, looking for potential continuously upward movement. But we're seeing some overhead pressure coming around the 52.82 price target here, so that's kind of hitting somewhat of a wall resistance. That doesn't mean it's going to come crashing down. It just needs a little bit more push to kind of break through. And I'm seeing a 2-day squeeze setting up here, potentially that could be the catalyst to be continually to try to push higher to the upside here. We just need the volume zone and RSI to kind of kick in to kind of give that the good old Yeti a kick in the butt to kind of get above that 52.84 price target there. Alpaca's asking for VAL. Yeah, that's the one I told you about this morning. It looks interesting. I was looking, it kind of came on my radar, like, ooh, like that was just really trying to build a base around that $11-ish range, and kind of just trading sideways here, potentially seeing that 5 and 8 kind of cross through the 21 here. Not my favorite movement, but that momentum is still somewhat intact. The volume zone also is trying to go negative. If we start breaking below that, below the overall 1095, that previous low, and those 5 and 8 moving averages continue to grind lower there, Alpaca, that could be looking for some support coming around that $10.75, potentially even down to that $10.32. I know this is a very, I'm doing air quotes, cheapish price target here. But with this being said, that squeeze is still in place. We have that squeeze here before, and it really ran up into earnings, and kind of, I won't say it fell off the wagon here, but just kind of really consolidated here, potentially building a base here, looking for that potential movement to go higher. We're seeing that kind of consolidation coming in. We saw that a lot of consolidation previously a couple weeks ago around the 200 EMA, around that 1050. So that can easily come back down to the 1050. But if the squeeze has any momentum and it fires short, you got to be very careful. That 1032 could be a potential price target there, Alpaca. So on the long-term side, just a long term, I'm just going to flip to the overall weekly chart here. This being said, really looking for some support down to around 1050 to the long-term side, where the 21 EMA kind of comes in. 21 EMA on the long-term side. But we're still kind of hold that 11-ish dollar pattern. So being mindful of that. I don't know, again, you sound like you've done a lot of research and diving into the overall lithium stocks and just the overall miners and all the things like that. The stuff that I was reading about was, I kind of go off on a tangent a lot of the times. Like, you can probably know that when I talk, but I went off a tangent of how the overall the Chinese have taken over parts of Mexico to really isolate and take control of these mines, and they're just coming up and buying these small mining groups, and this really trying to capitalize on lithium ore, extracting from the ground is basically considered the new gold. What up, Blue? How are you doing, my friend? Derek, thank you for joining. How's SHA? What is that one? Is that? Let me go back to the daily sign here, and we'll take a looky-loo. We saw A and J come in. JP Morgan. Yep. We can look coach. We can look at bank. Yep. Let's hold on to your tail feathers there, and we'll just take a look at Shake Shack. Shake Shack. Shake Shack. What is Shake Shack? That's that burger place, right? I'm thinking of Smash Burger. What is Shake Shack? I remember Shake Shack now. I traded this thing when it first came public. How long has that been? I remember this. Yes, I remember this mother trucker. That's story time real fast, guys. Put your sleeping pillows on. This is back when I was this is like 2015. Yeah. Whoa. This is when I was a short seller for a little bit. That didn't last very long. that was not a fun ride. All right, let's go back to the weekly here. Shake Shack, yeah. So let's do a quick fib here. This looks interesting. It's trying to break above that 200 EMA here, which we're looking here on the daily side. Really looking for that potential movement to around 67.97 to potentially play there. To kind of see that breakout. Looks like earnings was not well received, kind of coming back down. We're seeing a very strong support around 47 basically. So 47.91 is going to be a really strong line in the sand. Looking for a potential movement to that $67 price target if that can continue. We kind of saw it fail here around 62 and came back down. Be super mindful if you're, depending how long term you are, this looks like it wants to go higher. On the weekly side, we do have a squeeze sitting up there to the weekly side. But we really need to see that momentum kind of come through. We're seeing an overall movement coming through, but we're not seeing the overall volume really coming in to kind of see that going higher for any case in that point there. Yep, A and J, we're going to look at the JP Morgan. So JP Morgan's kind of the same story. It's just been a steady eddy, kind of just trading in between the $98 and $97. Excuse me. Looking for that potential overhead resistance around the 200 EMA, so around 105. Downside support is going to be coming around 92 there, and seeing that potential pattern. Just kind of a sit on your hands and wait to see how it plays out. If you want to go long it, you can go long it. If you want to go short it, you want to go short it. But just have to kind of see how this plays out. You see where my indicators are to the up or to the downside to see how this one plays out. And then Bank of America. So Bank of America is actually the one we have that I have my positions in, which we kind of bought in basically around this after the quarter here. The earnings report, we bought it around the $23 to $24 range. Kind of had this right up. We saw this kind of fail here like it did on multiple other times on the other banks, kind of topping here right around the 200 EMA and then coming right back down. Kind of seeing that holding pattern between the 21 and 34, potentially wanting to break above that 26 to 27. Would love to touch it, the 28 to $29 again. Just sitting on my hands and just being a much more longer term position there for me as well. For Bank of America, just kind of just sitting back and just seeing how it plays out. Blue, doing well, thank you, man. Hope you're feeling better yourself. Blue, I am doing a lot better. I am have my surgery scheduled for fixing my issues on next week. Yeah, next week. So hopefully should be a quick recovery, and then I'll be skipping and doodling and running around again. Peter, hey Ken, thank you for streaming today. You're very welcome, Peter, and thank you for joining me. Brando says, hey Ken, can you do CGG? Thanks. Yeah, we can do C. Chig. The old Chig. So, I think, was this one we talked about when the CEO came out and said like 20 or 25% of the university and colleges in the United States are going to fail? Like, that was never a good look. But that being said, we can kind of see somewhat some movement here. It's kind of coming to around the 50-day here. So the red is the 50 simple moving average, and the white is the 55 EMA. So this is kind of like my buying zone for potential long-term positions. That being said, this looks very interesting, actually. There has been some damage done on this to the long side, but if this can come out on top here and kind of hold and stay above the $75 range, so we can kind of show you this here from the swing high to swing low. So the $75 range is right about here. If they can stay above that, would be great. We just need to start seeing the 5 and 8 to kind of start curling up through the 21 to potentially start breaking above that $80. Again, that $80, that swing high to swing low, 50% retracement, to kind of see that potential movie to go to 80, 82, 85, and then to infinity and beyond. With that movement, again, we're kind of seeing it's an early stage of base building here. I thought we're going to get some base building here, but then we had that huge day come out of just that negative movement and just really kind of wash it out. This pattern kind of reminds me of what Zoom did a couple weeks ago, where it had a nice base building, but then it just said like dive, and then just kind of flushed a lot of the other people out if you weren't in it, and then it just kind of rebounded back like 2 or 3 days later. And then potentially just trading sideways here. Again, if it can build a nice little range here between 76 to 78, longer term, especially on the weekly side, I think this could easily come back up to the 80, 85 range in no time soon. Thank you, Alpaca. You enjoy the streams? Thank you. FSX profits. What do you think about the Fed tomorrow? I think it's going to be a great day to sip some coffee or on my favorite mineral water and just sit and watch the markets jump up and down. I don't really have anything short-term trading that's expiring this week or even next. I don't think I have anything much in September actually either for options. So I kind of just want to get it done and over with, and then we'll see on how it goes from there, right? I don't know how the waves are going to be tomorrow. I just kind of have to sit back and wait, right? But it could be a great buying opportunity, so we'll see how it plays out. You bought into Chegg today? Yeah. Hopefully didn't you go in full thrust as they call it, or go in full position. I would if you have the opportunity or the ability to maybe scale into it. But Blue says, any thoughts on Shop? Yeah, Shop. All the other like tech stocks have just really taken out, hit all-time highs today. Let me take a quick sip of water. So with like Shop, kind of highlighted it with a video that we just did about Mr. Wonderful, aka Kevin O'Leary, saying that Shop's going to be breaking out, and I was just kind of putting him as somewhat of a flagship of just looking like, hey, what's Kevin O'Leary thinking? But this base building has been super strong here. That 5 and 8 never really aggressively crossed through the 21, and it was just nice base building, nice even volume, nothing too sporadic. There wasn't a big kick higher or lower, and that was just kind of just shaking people out. And just really just kind of this base building, just nice, easy, calm C's here, and then boom, a huge market move, breaking above those parabolic SAR dots there, and just not wanting to print higher. To the upside, what we could be potentially looking for some price targets, and I can give you that once I get my stuff together here. To the short term, we're really looking for the next price target. If we can get above that $1,110, basically, we could see a potential target to around 1148 to the upside, and then from 1148 we can be looking to around 1200. So 1200. So you buy like 4 shares, okay. One second, I got my paleo bar. It's gluten-free, dairy-free, no refined sugars. Snack here real fast. It's got almonds, honey, coconut, pumpkin seeds, all organic, Brazilian nuts, cinnamon, vanilla flavoring, whatever. I need to eat a little something something real fast. I'm gonna scoot back just a second while I'm eating my bar. Let me find a quick picture for you to see what I'm eating. That's basically what I'm eating right there. You can see that. They're really good. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm making you hungry, I'm sorry. Wesley, what's up, my friend? Yo, Ken, what's up, dude? Better than later than never. Did you do CRM? We haven't done CRM, but we did cover it. I kind of covered it just slightly. CRM just busting at the seams, really just creating a large movement higher, really unexpected. I kind of want to show you guys an example of what that options pricing being. Let me look at some. So let's say if you just bought the, so this is like, if you just bought those calls and just had a substantial, fantastic day. So let's say if I just bought basically the 215 call that was expiring this Friday. Let's give you that example here on how much that price and value jumped today. That price jumped about 900% today. So 900%, we can kind of look here at some large moves. We're seeing some 10,000% days, 10,000%, okay? The 255 options for CRM jumped 255%. That being said, that is a pretty substantial amount. So we can kind of look here and send that to the chart. Again, the options makers, the market makers did not expect this move to happen. I was outside of the 1 deviation to even 2 deviation move. This was a 3+ deviation move. You see that option was at 6 cents. It got up to $23.47. That's pretty fantastic, right? Like, someone was a very happy camper that day. And most of the people that were getting out of it were probably the folks who were selling this to collect the premium. But then you had the folks who were bought them into earnings and just really hope for a YOLO play, really. So that's always really interesting to see. That's when options or call options into earnings can really just pay off, but it's not a really best sound strategy in the sense of consistently making money. Like if you said, hey Ken, I'm gonna give you $100 and you have basically you buy $5 call options for earnings every single time, what's the likelihood of it happening this one time and you make all your money back in one bet? That can happen, but I'm not going to be the best odds in that sense. You're really just playing like a lottery ticket, in my opinion. I would rather have the consistent gains from that. But that was one hell of a move. I should make a video on that one. That's a good idea there, Wesley. I'm going to do a video on that. Let me just take a quick screen cap of that. Oink. That is wonderful. The CRM is, we're going to go tomorrow. A lot of FOMO is going to kick in tomorrow. So we can kind of look here on a longer term time frame. Let me just go here. we'll do the previous swing high to previous swing low here. From this move, really looking for the next price target around $317 for CRM. So, yeah. David BLNK. Blink charging. What is this? I'm not sure what this company does, but this kind of was a penny stock, kind of came out of nowhere. Now it looks like it's potentially trying to hold around the 50-day here, potentially building a base around the $7.33. To kind of see that potentially just kind of trade sideways here, with the 5 and 8 aggressively crossing through the 21. I'm not sure what this company does, but there's a lot of volume days and just a lot of or ringing around the rosy material, and I don't really quite understand the reason why. So I can't really add too much to this conversation, my friend. Sammy says, thoughts on FB? Yeah, FB. FB really just took off to a moon today, without a doubt. With FB really making this really nice slow momentum pattern here, and just still holding that 5 and 8 moving averages, and then just getting that opportunity to go higher, and then boom, it just takes it and just rides higher. I don't know what's the FOMO. What does it say in Facebook? Sees Apple's. Oh, so there's a new ad revenue coming in for Facebook. It's interesting. I need to understand that a little bit more. But again, I normally just look at the overall trend here within the charts. But this thing was just a nice surprise if you're long it, which I am long it. So that's a nice little surprise here. And that is just been printing very well here. Again, are we at a top here? I don't know. You never know. But we are hitting somewhat of the oversold. RSI and the volume zone oscillator is looking very hot. That doesn't mean that it's going to come crashing down instantly. It could just be a small pullback, a potentially just trading sideways for a little bit and kind of consolidating a pattern from that. And seeing how that plays out. That's with FB. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm going to try to stream for a little bit longer. I haven't been able to do very much. I just feel a pretty good day today and just feeling well overall. That's a great feeling. God is good. Sammy profits. My man. That's awesome, dude. I'm glad that you're able to make profit on that one. That's a nice little surprise when a stock goes up like that. Thoughts on Rocket? Rocket is just kind of just trading sideways for it kind of hit that price target of around that $30, failed at the 127, kind of coming down, potentially holding around the 26 to 27 range, potentially a buying opportunity for another run into earnings. Again, earnings is out next week, the 2nd. So that is basically a week from today, a Wednesday. We could see another earnings run into that movement there. Facebook to 310. What I'm not okay. Let me go back to Facebook to kind of give you a better analysis. Can it hit the? It's 310. I think it hit 310 pretty easily. Honestly, this momentum's pretty strong. It's gonna take at least 2 or 3 days, maybe less, maybe 24 hours to kind of get the next overall price to kind of trade sideways. We could see a pullback again. Since this move has been pretty drastic, we could do a little bit of short-term Fibonacci retracement from the swing high to swing low here. Oh, come on. potential pullback to around 294, but that basically the next overhead target would be around 320, and then what we talked about, that target around the 360, 357 to the upside there. The Zuck. The Zuck. Blues asking about Adobe. Ugh, I know. I wish I was still in the Adobe. Adobe, again, another. We talked about this on the live stream, right? I think we did. Was in this box here. We talked about it trying to get above that 470 range. It finally did. Consolidated just again for like 2 or 3 days. Not like it's would consolidate for a week or two. Consolidated for 2 or 3 days, broke above, gapping above this 1272 extension, basically not even seeing it's there, not giving it, rats butt, and just really printing higher. Next overhead target's gonna be around 561. That seems pretty far up there without a doubt. Looking again, this has earnings, a question mark, on the 15th of September. That is going to be a lot of movement without a doubt to kind of see on how this stock plays out. With a large move like this, again, if you're not in it, you just kind of have to sit on your hands and wait. I don't like to chase on a stock that's up literally 10% one day. That's a little bit too difficult, without a doubt, to try to chase this one. I'm going to kind of have to wait for potentially to around the 485. That would be my first term of level 1 support, and then coming back down to around 464. That's a very difficult one to kind of see. A lot of things have just been running. Like if you weren't in it, you kind of have to just wait for the next opportunity when the tides kind of start settling down. Yeah, want to do Beyond Meat as well? Yep, we can do BYND. So this one is actually a longer term position for me here. Blue, kind of bought into it around like the 130-ish range. Maybe, no, it was like 125 range on the way up. Kind of consolidated here a little bit. I think it was around this area we bought in, I think so. Started a position there. We didn't sell it on the way up. Kind of came back down, added a little bit in this range here. And now kind of getting closer here. Potentially we'll add around the 115 to around the 117 to 115 range here if it gets on the 200 EMA, and just kind of play it from there. Again, this is going to be a much longer dated position for us, so we're really just going to be hopeful, not hopeful, but just be really not aggressively looking at it. You kind of see I have some potential parameters on here, alert to myself to buy some at that 115 range, and then see if it does break out above 145. That's kind of somewhat of a previous top there for blue, to kind of see this play out. Because again, I'm looking more or less around this weekly chart here and kind of seeing that consolidation here around the 123-ish range to kind of see if this holds and could potentially be somewhat of a resistance there, potentially seeing that price start breaking above that 130 to like 150, and then would love to see it back up to $1 million. But yeah, I'm optimistic on the fake meat. Let's see here. A lot of chat. Thank you for joining. We did not do NIO tech. We can do, oh no, did we do NIO? I don't even know anymore. We did NIO, I can remember this now, because I did a quick story time where we bought into NIO. Basically, I think we bought in right in this range here, around $11, and we sold at around $15, $14 before earnings. Earnings came out, really was somewhat lackluster. The squeeze still continued. Volume really didn't kick up and didn't really surprise anything. Was still holding that 21 EMA. Should have got back into it, but then it really just took off, kind of hitting that 1618 to around the $20.28 level, potentially being some overhead resistance there. To the upside, we're looking for 2635, to the next being the overhead resistance there. To the downside, we're looking for some support here around the $16 to $18 range for level 1 support to the downside, and then we're going to be looking to around $14 to $15 for level 2 support to the downside, my friend. Thank you, Blue. I appreciate you for being a wonderful, fantastic YouTube membership member. It happens. Bad trades happen. The biggest thing with bad trades, you don't want bad trades to come into ending your trading completely. Kier, was it BI? Is that a penny stock? I never heard that in my life. BILI. I've never heard of this. What is this? What is this? I have no idea what this is. You just blew my mind. BI. Oh, it's a Chinese stock. Okay. Video streaming based in Shanghai, themed around anime economy, games, and users to submit and add overlay community videos. So I'm usually not a big completely. I know we just talked about NIO, and I have to be very careful on. I don't really invest in a lot of the Chinese-based companies. I know I will just trade them for, again, a very very short period of time. That's why I really didn't capture a lot of that profit in NIO like I should have, due to the fact of my honest beliefs are that the regulatory aspect in China is not as strong as in here in the U.S. So I'm a little bit more hesitant to invest in these kind of stocks. That being said, from the previous swing high to the previous swing low here on the fib, if I can, come on now. Fib retracement here. We really want to break above that 48, 47 range. Oh, they have earnings today after market, and they're up. They're a little bit down, it looks like 48, 80. Okay, they're just barely up, but I haven't seen that movement really come through. If the earnings is great, we're looking for trying to hit that $51 price target from the previous high. To the downside, support's really going to be coming around the 46.35, even down to 44 to 40, lower 44 range there to the downside. But this pattern looks really strong. Again, with earnings, that can be a curveball, and be hesitant to buy in something into earnings, because again, my honest opinion on earnings, it's a coin flip. So. Oh, it's like a Twitch. Okay, that's interesting. I like that. I think Twitch is awesome. You guys watched the video of Bezos commenting on something, and everyone's like, "You guys own that? Do you not know that you own Twitch and you paid like $1 billion for it?" Like, it was a funny. I have to find that. It was quite funny. Well, I'm gonna take another quick bite of my my paleo bar from Costco. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I really like the logo though. It's a cool logo. AMD. AMD is the love of my life. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick story time real fast. So your boy Ken here really done messed this one up before. Where's 20? I owned AMD at like basically $3. Okay, and I owned a lot at $3. But when that sucker went up to like, I think it was like, maybe it went up to like $6, I sold a lot of it, bought back in, sold some more, basically got 10. You kind of get the repeat effect here. And then it kind of just took off, and I never looked at it again. And if I had those same, like, if I had like 2,000 or 3,000 shares of that at that price, I would have, yeah. Yeah, that hurts. I even had a buddy at a hedge fund. He was saying this move right here. What year is that? Yeah, it's around that time. This move right here after this dip on earnings that month, he's saying that this fund that he was working for was buying it hand over fist. And I was like, I dabbled in it. I bought a little bit, kind of rode on the way up, sold it for a nice double, but then didn't see this whole move go higher. Like that's just insane. I love AMD. You win some, you lose some, and then you just the ones that just never like I have nightmares about that. But anyways, that's fine. With AMD currently to this date, AMD was a great play for us even this year. Like we played options here, really held it in this range here, never really broke above 60. Each time it came down to around the $50 range, we just added a couple added a couple longer term options. And guess what? We got paid all the way up. So all that previous damage that I did to myself and not holding it, I kind of really paid myself all the way up here and really just took a lot of profits off the table and really just flattening it out. Looking at this move now, really waiting for these moving averages to kind of catch up to around where we're looking at. This could be potentially breaking out in the next couple days. I don't want to push anything. I might be a little bit early, but this looks like it could really, if some momentum comes in and the overall market does great tomorrow and it doesn't roll over potentially, maybe by rolling over, I don't think it's going to coming down 10, 20%. But with whatever Powell says, that we could get a pretty large uplift in the market if it does. Not saying we're going to hit 95 tomorrow, but 95 is my next overhead target for AMD. Whew, that was a tough one to always look at. What's the big C? What's big C? That sounds familiar. This is like a new... Is this the Shopify that just came public? Ah, yes. That is insane move right there. Absolutely insane. That looks crazy. Whoever had those options or call options, I don't even want to look at those options for today on how much those went up. Look at that, hundreds of percents. Because I don't think they even had call options around that price. That's crazy. Good for them. Nice little move there. That looks insane. Let me look here on the fib here. There's not that much information to trade on this because it's somewhat of a newer IPO. Looking for next target around 169 potentially. But again, this movement's pretty astronomical. Again, newer IPO, very difficult to kind of potentially see where it could be going. But yeah, this looks that looks pretty intense. Oh, they're working with Facebook. Okay. Yeah, that is definitely an insane jump. That is, hopefully you got some of that action, my friend. NVIDIA, yes, NVIDIA. That was, everything else was going higher, and then poor NVIDIA was just left on the recess bench, not being able to play kickball with his friends, and all the other tech companies were flying higher. You had your Facebooks, you had your Amazons, you had your AMDs, and everything else going pretty good today. Actually, AMD didn't do fantastic today, but you had your Netflix, you had all the other companies flying higher, and you had poor little AMD or NVIDIA or an AMD over there sitting on the sidelines just waiting to be picked for the team and not really participating in the overall rally. But NVIDIA has gone up pretty substantially since then, with even earnings breaking above that wonderful $500 target here, looking for potentially, I want to say trading sideways here. It's still going to be potentially going up if it continues following the 5 and 8 moving averages there. We could see that slow grind higher. First level support to the downside would be around 495. Then next level is going to be coming around the 470 range. So be mindful of that as well to the downside. Upside target's going to be looking around 563. Since earnings is kind of behind us, we're kind of just going to be, again, anything can happen. This thing can come out and say, oh, guess what? Tesla's going to buy us, or whatever company could be acquiring us, or Apple or whatever. We're working with Apple to build a GPU or a graphics card for the new book or whatever, MacBook Pros or whatever. And this can just jump higher. being just really just flying to all-time highs. That being said, it's just a great looking stock, and it's a great industry to be in again. I always love the tech stocks because it has that really high growth and high momentum when it is really tied to it. Oh, you're watching from the sidelines? I know. You sit next to me on the recess bench. The kids are not picking you to play for the kickball team. It's okay. I don't honestly follow Wall Street bets as much as I used to, honestly, due to the fact of uh, it's got a little bit, I wouldn't say toxic, but it just got a little bit like a little bit too much cringe, honestly. Kind of lost its tang, if you know what I mean. Let's see here. Update this. Nice. Let me take another quick bite. I got 2 more bites left of my fantastic paleo bar. I'm not sponsored by Paleo Bar, just FYI. But if there is sponsor like Thinkorswim, if you want to sponsor me, hit me up. That'd be fantastic. Thinkorswim to sponsor me. I use their charts every flipping day. I'm still with them even though they crashed all last week. The sons of a bitches. Still eating my granola bar. 1 second, folks. All right, let's see here. UUP. What's UUP? That sounds familiar. Yikes. A DB US dollar index bullish ETF. Never usually a fan of these power share ETF stuff. Is this leveraged at all? You know, it doesn't say 3 ETF or something like that. Interesting. Yeah, it's not looking too well. It's not breaking above the 21 EMA, so I'm gonna call it at that. We are seeing somewhat of a squeeze setup here. That doesn't mean it's going to fire lower, but with RSI being on the lower end below 50 and with the volumes on oscillator below 0, it's not looking too positive for the long side on this one. It really needs to break well above that 25-26 range and close above it to kind of see anywhere of that upward movement to the upside. Blue, any thoughts on SPY tomorrow? It's hard for the kind of, again, SPY is going to move tomorrow without a doubt. So SPY, and then Tech, you're asked about how the market's going to move with Powell speaking. It's going to move. Like, I don't know exactly what time. Is he talking in the morning or in the afternoon? It's usually like that 8 o'clock time frame. It's the 8, 10:30. Sometimes they move it to 11. And then usually around the 2 or 2:30 time frame, these are all Eastern Standard Time, to use that movement again. The stock's going to move without a doubt. Like, it's crazy to see the futures move, especially just look at forward slash like ES or QQs when he speaks, and like if he says anything like backstop, we're printing money, blah blah blah, you just see the things just rally. Bitcoin, I don't have any Bitcoin or Ethereum anymore. We can look at Bitcoin futures here. I still follow it. Looking for, again, we hit that level from the previous high here. Like I don't make this stuff up. So the previous swing high on the weekly side that we currently looked at was basically around the 12,000 range, 12,500. Guess what? We hit that, didn't break above it. Now we're kind of coming back down. Potential support coming around the 10,726. If that breaks, we're going to be really looking for around below 10,000 from that. Yeah, from the 5G movement tech, we're really looking for like QCOM. Who else? A lot of people are looking to buy Nokia, T-Mobile, those kind of things, those plays. But Qualcomm is just going to be the company that does the drivers and everything and the devices with that technology behind it. And this one's just been rocketing higher. Really have not been able to get a opportunity to add to this. We had calls on this, or sorry, had puts on this, sold basically the 34 and 21 EMA, gapped up on earnings, got out of them for max profit, and now trying to wait for an opportunity to kind of get it closer to around the 110 price target there. Okay, what is the market going to move up or down? What does your crystal ball say? My crystal ball says question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't know. I don't know what the waves are going to be. Robotic surgery might be a big thing for 5G. So I always ask interesting people. So I talked to my surgeon when I had to get my surgery done next week, and I was like, "So you use the Da Vinci?" He's like, "No, I use my hands." I was like, "I don't use a robotic." I was like, "Well, enough said." Like he's a doctor who has the overall knowledge of using his super hands for his power. He doesn't want a robot to take his job or whatever. But I was like, a robot could do it better, right? He didn't like that. But that is what it is. Thought that was funny. I always try to get other people's perspective on. He's a professional. He does literally hundreds of surgeries a year, so he knows what he's doing. I think 5G is going to impact tech. A lot of things within the um, um, with just like the hotspot stuff on your phones. Like with 5G, the understanding of the technology behind it, like that connection should be in theory so fast that you might not need a like almost like paying Comcast Verizon for it. The only thing is the heat that it could generate from the chips. Yeah, of course. I'm not saying the robot just goes in and blindly cuts up my guts, but more or less like yeah. With robots, there's going to be some procedures that robots can do better than humans, and I think it's only going to be slowly getting better. Interesting stuff, without a doubt. So if you guys want to do a couple more stocks, I want to kind of do. Okay, I can kind of show you what I kind of look for some potential scans here. So what I normally just look for is what the highest volume is, um, and start looking at these potential movements and that potentially kind of see how that breaks out. Basically, it's a very tedious process. You really have to love the passion of looking at charts and just looking through all these potential or stocks here that can potentially see a potential buying opportunity, XYZ, and things like that. That's kind of what I try to do for the folks on Patreon and the folks within the higher tier of the YouTube membership, of just trying to give maybe a potential opportunity of what I might see in the market. I kind of want to maybe lower the overall cost of that tier because I just put an arbitrary number out there, to be quite honest. If Big is listening and 3 other people who are signed up for it, yeah, I might be dropping that to kind of. I just want to make it somewhat more easable and accessible for people to get to that information. But it does take some time to go through these. Like, I do it for myself, but then I have to share it and give it, hand it out, and I honestly don't feel like the obligation of like. I call it trade ideas because I'm not going to tell you when to get in or when to get out. I kind of just give you the basic parameters or the thought process behind it, and you have to execute it yourself. I don't want to be a signal or alert company or alert person where if I tell you to get in, I have to tell you to get out. So I don't want to be that guy. I more or less just want to teach folks and help them better understand the overall market. Bike Breath, have you seen XRP and its Ethereum Elon Musk space? I don't know that one on top of my head. I'm actually gonna detach this and then I can kind of scroll through that and then also see the chat window. Let's do here. What did you say the company was? X what? Chat, hold on. XRP. Okay. Yeah, I want SpaceX to IPO without a doubt. Blue PayPal, great. Love it. PYPL. PayPal is actually one that we added today, in the fact of seeing that movement and holding that 21 EMA, kind of buying in here around. Was it yesterday or today? I can't even remember. It was on $98, so it could have been today. No, maybe not. It was $98, I think, the overall price that I got into, looking for that potential movement higher again, breaking to all-time highs today. That's been a nice, fantastic stream, and seeing that potential really. Some people call it a cup and handle. Some people just call it a bowl. Some people call it a semicircle, and seeing that kind of that volume, kind of get those weak hands out, kind of potentially build a base here and kind of get that movement higher. Since the early part of a squeeze, things are looking great here. On the short-term side, we could be seeing some pretty price above 209 to 215 if this squeeze wants to fire higher and really get this momentum cooking with oil. What's up, Robert? Yep, we're doing a stream today. We started around 3, been going for, oh my God, we've been going for 2 hours. That's awesome. Nice little fun stream with everyone today. Seeing how everything is going. It's an exciting day in the market without a doubt, to kind of see how quite a few things played out in the market. Of course, seeing CRM print really substantially higher, and just go bananas, honestly, and just do very well for itself. Because those are pretty insane moves. When something moves as a large a company as it is, that move is pretty substantial. Let's see here. And let me just make sure the stream is updating. Yeah, I don't trade much cryptos or anything. It's very difficult to do. I was just very fortunate to get into Bitcoin and Ethereum at a very cheap price. So I was just at the right time at the right place with a lot of the people that I knew helped me out. Leo, yes, we can look at Facebook. Look at the old Facebook. We kind of covered it lightly, but with that large move today again, we're really looking for the next potential. Where did I think it's my fibs didn't save. Looking for the next overhead target around 318. I know that seems pretty insane from where we're currently trading, but that doesn't mean that we can't see that price come to fruition. Again, short-term support, again, that's a pretty large move. We're talking nearly almost 10% today, let's call it. And we'll see how that plays out. Looking for support around the 285 in the short term, and then potentially even lower to around the 275 to 274 to the downside. To the upside again, we're looking for 318, but that if you're in this move, fantastic. Round of applause, handshake, smack on the butt, high five, pound it. Golly, good shot, fellow. That's been a great move there without a doubt. I just can't buy into the move right now. This has just gone up way too much. We are in it just with selling puts, but wow, that was a pretty impressive move without a doubt, with the old Facebook coming in today and just knocking out of the park. Blue wants to look at Square. Let's look at Square. So we just went from PayPal to Square, kind of the same. I like how you're moving there on the dance floor. With this one, again, same kind of principle. Didn't make an all-time high like PayPal did today, but this thing had a really large move, kind of coming back down, never really touching the 21 EMA here, holding that 5 and 8 moving average pattern, looking for a potential target around 170 within the old Square. That's Jack Dorsey and them over there looking for that potential target up ahead. Support really coming in level 1 around 147 to 144, and then level support basically coming in at 136 to the 138. That's going to be a little bit further down, but that 144 to 145 looks pretty interesting there as well, as just for potential resistance to the downside. Starlink is going to be, hopefully that does come IPO as well. That's going to be the internet of the space satellites. It's basically your best way to kind of get into SpaceX stock. Yeah, Starlink is going to be definitely the IPO. With the run that Tesla's going to have, everyone and their mother is going to want a share of Starlink if that ever comes into the IPO range. It's going to be absolutely insane. So I'm finishing up my granola bar. Please hang tight. All right, just finished my granola bar. Thank you guys. Seven. Anyone bought calls on Lowe's? Did Lowe's come already up? I thought Lowe's already had earnings, right? Oh, Jiminy Christmas. Lowe's. Everyone wants to be a stay-at-home farmer. This thing looks fantastic. Oh, that's a great looking trade there. This thing is a great looking chart. I just haven't really got the opportunity to buy. Like, it's just, I'm not normally the first person to buy here at the 8 EMA on the daily side. But that is a great looking chart there. If you're in that trade, that thing is looking fantastic. Really cutting right through that 1618 at the $167 range, $168 range, potentially looking for the next price target, which is crazy, at 234. Let me give you a little bit shorter dated fib here. Shoo-a-doop-a-doop-doop-doo. Wow, that broke that one. Looking for at 193 there to the short side, or to the next short term for that. Again, to the downside, we're looking for some really short term support at 162, and then from 156 to 152 to the downside there, my friend. But that is a great looking stock. I hope that you're in it and you're just grinding that high, because that looks that's a really sexy stock. And granola stuck all in my teeth. Sorry, guys. Again, getting somewhat signs of overbought here doesn't mean it's going to come crashing down. This could be a sign of just kind of slowing down, catching its breath, taking a look at the overall market and just kind of waiting to kind of see on how it plays out overall to upside and so forth from there. I added a lot tech to my longer term positions and around that March and April timeframe, but I really haven't added too much to my long term positions. I just kind of opened up like Spotify a little bit. I opened up to that. What else did I open it up to? I think I have Beyond Meat was another position that we opened up on. I can't think of anything really else from there. Robert, any thoughts on RXT, Microsoft, or Cisco today? I bought calls on each of them. RTX, is that Raytheon? Rackspace. Rackspace went public? How did I not know that? Jesus, I work in the industry. I don't even know that Rackspace went public. God, that's embarrassing. Let's look here. Interesting. I can do... Interesting. So support coming in around $19.19. It looks like it's in a kind of a trading range between 19 and 18, trading sideways. If we get an earnings run, if we start breaking higher, would like to see it above 20. But with earnings being its very first earnings, I'm going to be a little bit hesitant and not just going out and buying it. That being said, I don't even know how Rackspace still makes money because that was like 12 years ago that I was using them. Nice. That's a great move, my friend. I'm very happy for it. That's awesome. What was the other stock you said? Microsoft. Microsoft. Another great looking. That's the one I've been wanting to add. That's a nice little move today. Microsoft is looking again, breaking all-time highs. It gets above that $222. We're looking for 227 again. Microsoft's going to be really tied to the overall story of course, TikTok. Is they're going to buy TikTok? Is they going to? But now I think TikTok's suing the United States. I don't. I am not a lawyer without a doubt. I think I took 1 or 2 classes in basic business law, and it was just like, oh, how do people deal with this bullcrap? That being said, we're looking for some potential. That's a pretty large move today. That's the Microsoft again. Looking at no earnings on the horizon. We already had earnings. Looking for some support to the downside. The short term around 214, 215, and the next level support around 211 to 212, and then basically around the 208 time frame there. If you want this move to continue, we really need to start seeing above 22206. That's that 1272 extension. That could be somewhat of an exhaustion pattern here and potentially going to take a lot of energy to kind of break through that. But you never know. Like, could we just come in and TikTok they get TikTok for a couple billion? I don't know. That's going to be, but Microsoft has so many other good things going for them. I think it's a great stock and company without a doubt. And what was the other one you said? Cisco? Okay, and I got to turn. I was like, I don't know about Cisco. So Cisco is a great company, but the stock has not been doing well. With earnings really getting smacked around, but kind of holding that $42.38 here. This is kind of a pattern that we like to see potentially hold around that $42 to $41 and potentially see it slowly grind higher. We're already seeing the 5 and 8 moving averages just starting to curling here to potentially get parallel with the overall other lines that were around the 200 EMA and things like that to kind of see that pattern move. But we're not seeing that volume oscillators on pretty negative territory. RSI is not looking pretty around 32. We need to see that at least above 50. And the overall TTM squeeze momentum is just basically printing red. We want to start seeing this to start turning yellow to kind of see that potential move go from 42 to start building its way back up to around that 43 and really up to that the 21 EMA and start breaking above that 618 here at $44.73 there. Is Barstool owned by Portnoy, right? I think to a certain extent. I think they sold to that Penn Gaming company. Let's see here. Did I miss anything? All right, chat's coming in here. Did I? Guys are having great discussions in there. Blue said Disney. Yeah, we can do Disney. Disney. The Diz. Love me some Disney. Really looking for this to potentially break out to that 137 range. Actually, I need to write that down. I'm pretty much a longer term holder of Disney stock for very long periods of time. Looking to see that potentially break to that level. I think that would be, again, support coming around the 125 to the 126 range to the downside, but that same kind of half semicircle, cup and handle, whatever you want to call it, could just be a cup and just break out to that 137 range if that momentum and overall volume really comes into the game. Sorry if I missed anything. I'm sorry. Can you talk about Workday? What's Workday's ticker? So does WDA, Workday? Oh, WDA, that's what I thought. That makes sense. Looks like it already had aftermarket. Wow. So I don't like to see this, honestly. I'm sure that on earnings it can still go higher, but if it jumps 10% the day before earnings, that's a little bit scary for me. It didn't meet its overall target, so around 227 could be a potential overhead target. What is the overall move suggested by this? Is another $18? Holy moly, by the Friday. So that can easily break above that 1272 there. So that could be a pretty large increase there without a doubt. But let's see here. Okay. That movement again, looking for that 1272 extension. But that looks like it could be definitely move substantially higher. But only red flag for me is like, hey, that has already moved quite a bit here in the sense of that the day before. So is that kind of entail the overall earnings move already? I don't know. It's gonna be hard for me to trade this due to the fact that it has already moved that much. Let me just closing some things down here 1 second. Worth buying now. What are you talking about? Disney? So Disney, again, I have a much longer term position on it. With stock options or stocks with shares. Why is this? Okay, there it goes. But I just usually just sell like monthly puts in this against those. I sell longer dated calls, but then I also can sell puts. I just collect a premium off it. It's a nice little trade. What are my thoughts on airlines? So airlines, I just go straight to the ETF called Jets, and basically that just sums up everything right there with all the airline stocks, basically all in one little chart here. again, well below the 200 EMA, kind of having issues kind of breaking out here, potentially looking for a longer base building here, potentially just trading sideways here, nothing to really write home, potentially kind of holding the 21 EMA plus or minus a buck or two from that point. But I think that this longer term, I'm looking for some potential longer dated calls in this. I think I have a position in this. I have next March's calls starting to add to. Started it maybe a couple days ago. I think it was like the 17 and 18 call. Was that right? That was the March. Yeah, 17 and 18. So yeah, one's already in the money, and one is not. So it's the 17 in the 18 in the 20 call is what we have. What I have for the Jets. But again, those are much longer dated options, and they're going to take a little bit more time to mature and make me some money. Kelly D says, when you sell your puts on Disney, how far out do you like to go? I like to go at least 30 days. And what delta I go to, because it's a combination of the delta and then also the chart. Normally, I like to go anything too aggressive. So let's do 30 days. I would probably do October next because I kind of just got out of them slightly. Be anything looking between like anywhere from the hold on. This doesn't make sense. It's not adding up here. So since they're only $5 wide, these are not going to be the ones that we're looking at. Here we go. We're going to be chasing like the 3.2 or 3.5. Those are the puts I would like to sell. That's going to be a little bit more of the aggressive side. If you're just selling, I normally just do it as a spread, looking for basically going to be doing those round numbers, looking for probably selling the 125 and then buying the 120 to kind of create a little bit of equity there. And then I could be selling a higher dated one basically around the same price, because I don't want to cap my potential gains in the stock with the selling of those options. Blue, what about IV? What do you mean by IV, my friend? Some airlines can go bankrupt. Yeah, some banks can go bankrupt too, but we'll see what happens. Again, it's not a large position in Jets. It's honestly more like a feeler position on seeing how things play out. I don't, because the thing is I'm a U.S. citizen, so I have a hard time unless the company does something extremely terrible. I probably 100% sure that the overall market or the overall government will bail out the larger companies. Yes. Robert, for applied volatility. Oh, the IV crush. So the IV crush is usually so for example, let me just pull up, let me see here. Let me see here. I want to do, let me find a good stock. Let's do like a Roku. Roku sounds cool. So I got Roku here. So I want to look something that's kind of give me some premium. So the theta decay really kicks in and it gets really heavy, and that the theta really goes up substantially within like 21 to 14 days of the expiration. So the 23 days is kind of being you can get some IV. Again, Roku's got pretty high IV, around 60. So that's you want to trade something at least above like 40-ish, depending on what stock. But most stocks that I trade have a fairly high IV, unless you're trading like a very low float. Let me try to think of something like an XLF might have a small. Yeah, it's like a 30. Let me look at, like, a bank might have a small, like, I got a 30 there. Like Ford might have not much of anything either. Everything's going to have a pretty high volatility due to the fact that things have moved so much. With that, so let's just do an example of like the Qs. So if I owned 100 shares of the Qs, I would look out in the future. I normally like to stick with the monthlies. That's going to be allowing me to get the best bang for my buck. Basically in the sense of, hey, I want to sell some premium. I want to showing the enough time for me to make my money back, in the sense of being on the safe side of things. So looking here, so Tastyworks is what I use for trading options, and I love it because of it makes it so simple. Looking at the options chain here, you can kind of see this is where at the money is, the calls, the put side. And then you see the orange bar in here, that's basically what the expected move is. And then you have the blue dotted line, that's deviation 1, and then the second deviation there. And usually that covers 80% of the stock of that move. But of course, in the extreme scenarios, aka the pandemic, aka a large market crash, we break through those deviation moves pretty fast. That being said, if I wanted to sell premium and collect like an iron condor, I'm not usually a big fan of as well. So this awesome little thing does here, well, I can just set up the iron condor and then just move around the spreads, and you can really see how those numbers change. Of course, with the iron condor, you want to go closer to the deviation point there. So let's just do it in or around the standard deviation of 1. So that's basically capturing 68% of the move. And that right now is giving us a 65% of profit, or the probability of profit of 65%. The P50 of getting 50% of your money back is 74%. The delta is a little bit high, and then your theta. So each time you want to sell premium, you want a fairly high theta number. So every day from now into September 18th, I'm in theory going to be getting 62 cents back out of this, or 62-ish number out of this. So 62 cents out of the $23. My max profit is 23. My max loss is $77. Of course, how do I lose my money? I can go to the analysis tab, and it shows me here. So I can see, hey, I just basically need the Qs to stay in the range of 172 and not break below 172. 272, and then it cannot break above like basically 312. So I basically just want the Qs in the next 23 days to stay in this range, and if it does so, that premium will be mine, and I don't have to adjust anything and kind of play with that tide. I can be a little bit more aggressive, and I can go just to what the market makers are counting on, and I can go. Did I go? Okay. So now you see the probability of profit drop down about a couple %, but I get a higher max profit though, and I'm risking less. So it's kind of a tit for tat. Like, okay, do you want a higher win rate with a lower payout, or do you want a slightly lower win rate with a little bit of higher payout? And that's the kind of the game that you play when you're playing the selling of options, and kind of playing that overall sense of trading and collecting that premium. So what happens when the stock price goes below? You have to adjust it. So you can close it out, or you can balance it out by rolling these options higher or lower. But that's when the kind of the difficult things, and that's when the really mechanical side of selling premium really comes into play. And I can go into crazy details on that, and that can just take forever to talk about. Do you typically go deep in the money for calls, or would you go only in the money? Do I know? I normally, if I buy calls, I normally, this is the problem sometimes. The best way, statistically speaking, if I wanted to play Disney to the upside, the best thing to play is to buy deeper in the money calls, anything above like 60 to 70 range. But again, one call is going to cost you $600 or $700. But you're going to capture the higher movement of the stocks within that frame. Yes, you can see. So let's say I bought another example. Disney only went up $2.50 today, so about nearly 2%. And that if I bought the 130 call today, that was, I think it was probably out of the money. I gained 33% on that particular call. That being said, if I bought the 140 call today, I gained 56% of my money back, or 50%, 56% more percentile on that, because what happened was that moved much closer to the overall at the money strike price. So it moved it closer and really increased the probability of profit of it being in the money, because again, the stock has moved up. So if like, for example, we did the example of CRM really just going to the moon today, literally having the stock, some of the options this week closing at 10,000 plus percent. So the option was basically 6 cents yesterday, and it got up to like $23, because the market makers put that particular strike price of not being actually anywhere near in the money. So once that happens, you get these extreme deviations of moves of like, this is like a 5-6 deviation move, and it's just really just blew everything up. And if you're on the long side, fantastic. If you're on the short side, it really was a very painful day. To the upside, and really just that particular option just gained so much in value, because I think we looked at, if you just bought like the 220 or 215 price, you only basically made 1,000%, and you would have paid a couple $100 for that, and now it's well over $5,000 or $6,000 it got up to. But if you bought again, the larger the risk, the reward should be great as well. Like, it shouldn't be high risk, no reward. That's basically the tit for tat. You want to have something that's more consistent and producing of capital, rather than just going complete YOLOing and buying this particular call for $5 and then being up to $23. So just be mindful of that. That's the kind of stuff that we quite talk about there, in the sense of like out of the money, in the money kind of scenarios. Exactly. You pay more for time, Robert, but the I think trading is all about you. Traders traders want to do this for the remainder of their time of trading, because you find joy in it. I think that's, for me, I enjoy trading, so I want to do this consistently and not to have any crazy drawdowns or drawbacks. So I want to be very looking at those kind of parameters. Yeah, VIX and growth are up, but that doesn't mean the VIX is not up substantially again. The VIX is up again due to the potential not the potential of Powell speaking tomorrow. So it's kind of looking for a potential movement in that. Yeah, we look at McDee's. Of course, McDonald's has been printing very well here. With that 5 and 8 moving averages continue to grind higher, looking for that potential overhead kind of resistance, kind of coming in around 218 to 220, to potentially being some overhead of resistance there to the upside. If that holds, we could potentially looking for a buying opportunity once it gets down to around 207 to around the 206 level as we're currently speaking. We do have a dividend day coming up. It looks like they're paying $1.25 for a dividend. That's not too bad at all. we'll see how that plays out. This again, if you're in that move, that's a great looking move. Potentially continue to grind higher, really holding that 5 EMA to the upside. So that's a really strong move to the upside. Do you think the SPY will have a correction tomorrow? I think there might be some volatility, but a correction in my book means 10%. I don't see that happening. But again, I don't know, right? I think I want to put a lower probability on a correction than it just trading sideways. Kelly D, that's a great question on the hurricane stuff. So there's a list that I have to find. I had a Thinkorswim a watch list of all the stocks that were like hurricane stocks. Like it was like the Floridian, like it was like a bunch of companies that were based in around like the southeastern coastlines of like Windows companies to tile companies, more or less like construction companies that worked in around that area. You could have played like Home Depot and things like that, but it really just playing the overall bet on just repairs on cars, repairs on houses, and things like that. AV, yeah, we just talked about Jerome Powell. I got no thoughts. I think he's going to be saying the same thing and just saying we're going to backstop the overall economy and create liquidity on the overall industries that need it. What do you think about Apple splits? Taking any positions? I haven't taken any positions in Apple. It's just been running up too much. We'll have to see on how the split takes place. And same with Tesla. I'm long-term Tesla, so Tesla has just been the overall longer-term position without a doubt. With the split, who knows what's going to happen? I think there could be an influx of volume coming in, and just kind of see how that plays out. Great point, Alpaca. So even with the California fires and everything, that could be a great uh, because again, you're really playing into a lot of things like Home Depot, Lowe's, Tractor Supply are just doing so well due to the fact of everyone is at home being a gardener, being a farmer. Someone is being affected by California fires and the overall prices of homes, and people are moving out of cities now and buying new homes. So there's going to be a huge influx within the home. Anything to do with your home kind of improvement, home kind of stuff has just been rolling up very well. AV, that would shoot up the market way too high, bubble burst, but to the sky. I don't know about that. I can't call the top of a bubble, or if we're in a bubble or things like that. It's gonna be too much. Yeah. You're welcome, my friend. Sorry, just drinking some water. Been talking for almost 2.5 hours. I think this is my longest live stream so far. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. I know we kind of went all over the place covering about premium to iron condors to looking at stocks. Hope this was educational for everyone. But whew, it's been a long stream. I don't know how some of those other streamers can go on for hours and hours. I usually don't talk very much. I'm more of an introvert. Yeah, when's Mulan coming out for Disney? That's supposed to be like $30, right? Play Fall Guys. Is that the game that's all over YouTube? I seen that, all those highlights. Thoughts on AMD? Yeah, we can look at AMD. AMD again has been. I'm gonna always bring up AMD in my story, buying it at $3 with a couple thousand shares and then selling it at 6 or 7, but that's fine. Now looking for that potential movement. This could be again a cup. We could see a cup and handle. Basically seeing this kind of, if this breaks above 87, we're looking for $95 for the next overhead target. We could just be trading sideways, kind of waiting for these moving averages to kind of catch up. We'll probably look for around support around $80 to the downside there though. Falls Guys is awesome, really? Okay, I'll have to check it out then. Intel. You want to look at Intel, INTC? So this is an interesting play without a doubt. Intel's trying to make a comeback here. We did take a position on this a couple days ago, I believe. Basically just playing both sides of it, potentially higher or lower. Really looking for this potentially to start breaking above 50 to get above that 52, then 55, and then 60. I know that seems pretty extreme, but this is really pretty strong base here. The 5 and 8 have finally calmed down and now kind of just trading sideways and just kind of potentially just holding that around that $49 to $50 price. But again, there's been a lot of damage in the stock. So there's been a lot of damage in this on the way down. So being mindful of like, hey, let's just kind of just sit back, just take some easy positions on this, maybe sell some puts, and maybe some longer dated calls if you have the capital, you want to allocate it to it, and just kind of see how this plays out. We did not talk about. Can you give me a lithium miner? I know Alpaca has been pretty gun ho about the ones. The one that always comes to mind is Alberdine or AB. Is it AL? Is this the one? Yeah, this is the one we traded way back when. This is one that's in Chile or South America somewhere, right? Alpaca. So with this one, from this previous swing high to previous swing low, we're looking for some support around basically $89 to $88. To the upside, we're really looking for that previous high to around 99 to 100. Yeah, exactly. Like the game looks so basic. You just look an obstacle course and you just literally just jump your way through and hopefully someone doesn't hold on or push you off the side. Yeah, it just came out at the exact right time, right? It just people at home need a great game, and then it's a great. It's very competitive. It looks like so. Who knows? We'll have a dyslexic gamer channel soon, and having some fun with that. That'd be kind of cool, right? Interesting. Let's see here. Anything else? I think I'm going to call it a day, guys. It's been streaming for about 2 hours and 42 minutes. Again, I really do appreciate everyone coming out. Potentially, we'll do maybe another live stream tomorrow. Haven't decided yet to see how it plays out. But that being said, thank you everyone for coming out. And if you're interested on joining the Patreon page to supporting the channel, or as well as joining the YouTube membership tab to support the channel, greatly I would appreciate that and check that out. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace!